Nobody is born insecure. When we were babies, no matter how many times we fell while learning to walk, we always got back up and tried again until we could walk smoothly. Even if there were other babies around us who learned faster, we didn't care. We didn't compare ourselves to them. We didn't feel less just because the neighbors were cheering on another baby. That was when we were still babies. Then we grew up, and in the process of growing up, we experienced things that introduced us to doubt. And that doubt introduced us to insecurity. The reasons vary, right? It could be because our parents had standards that were too high. Maybe someone once compared us to others. Maybe we were humiliated, bullied, didn't do so well in school. Or we grew up in a toxic family, and the list goes on. If we keep going through things like that without learning how to manage or control ourselves, it can eventually kill our self-confidence. And when we don't have confidence, we'll struggle to reach our full potential. Alright, today we're gonna talk about the things that can kill our self-confidence. There's this guy named John. He graduated in civil engineering, and he's super talented. From his job as a contractor, he can earn millions of dollars a year. But John feels like being a contractor isn't really his thing. He wants to start a business. He wants to build a company. So while saving up capital, he's also diving into business stuff, taking courses, doing research, trying to build connections for his future company. Basically, he's prepared everything in detail. He's spent years getting ready for this business, but he still hasn't taken the leap, even though everyone around him keeps telling him he's ready. Every time he's about to start, he hesitates. We can call this behavior of failure to take action. And it's not just John. A lot of people are in this situation, even after reading tons of books, listening to countless podcasts, taking all kinds of courses, going to seminars. They still can't take the first step. Again and again, they keep doubting themselves. Am I really ready? The truth is, they know what they should do, but still, they can't move forward. This leads us to something called infomania, a condition where we're overloaded with information. So, what causes people to get stuck here? It's overthinking. Overthinking makes us stuck and leads to procrastination. Actually, overthinking isn't always a bad thing. If we're overthinking about something positive, or before doing something big, it can help us evaluate things like checking if there are any variables that might cause us to fail, or if there's anything missing from our preparation. But if it gets too much, especially when we already lack self-confidence from the start, then we get stuck. We get stuck on all those WHATF questions. What if I fail? What if I miss something? What if something's not enough? And this is the problem. Because of overthinking, we become stagnant. Overthinking feeds our doubts. And the more we feed them, the bigger those doubts grow. And when they get too big, those doubts start to kill our self-confidence. When our confidence is crushed, it leads to all sorts of problems. One of them is comparing ourselves to others, and so on. Another thing that kills our confidence is when we can't or don't want to finish what we already started. For example, I have this friend. He's super smart. At that time, he was working on his second master's degree. Yep, he had already finished his first one. Then for some reason, I can't remember, he didn't go for a PhD right away, but instead started another master's degree in a different field. But after a few semesters, he decided to drop out. Then he applied for a PhD program instead. I was confused, so I asked him, why didn't you just finish it? Long story short, when he was just a little bit away from finishing his PhD, he said he wanted to drop out. This is what we call not being able to finish what you started. Even though he's really smart, he couldn't commit. So it's like he kept getting stuck and ending up tired all the time. What causes brilliant people with high potential, to not be able to finish what they started? One of the biggest reasons is self-doubt. Doubting yourself brings up all kinds of questions in your mind like, did I make the right decision? Was I supposed to choose this? Maybe if I chose that, the result would have been better, and so on. The more we let those thoughts roam around in our heads, the more we lose interest in what we're doing. In the end, we just get bored. And when we're bored, we don't get any more dopamine as a reward for what we're doing. Yeah, we start losing motivation, right? In the end, we drop that thing and try to find something new, something more exciting and more fun. And if we let that kind of behavior become a habit, well, we'll never be able to finish anything again. There's one more thing that can kill our self-confidence: being too focused on the destination or the goal. For example, you've already set a goal. You're putting in effort and staying disciplined to reach that goal. And because of that goal, you suddenly get a boost of motivation and feel pumped up. But then, not long after, that motivation disappears. So, you set a new goal just to get motivated again. It's like you're only chasing those short bursts of euphoria. I should have tried harder. I should have gotten more. I should have been more productive today. Now, if we look at it, this might seem fine, right? But if it keeps going like that, a thought starts to grow in your mind that no matter what you do, it's never enough. You start becoming toxic to yourself. Every time you rest or enjoy yourself, you end up feeling guilty. Then you become someone who rushes to reach your goals. And that leads your mind into delusion. You end up fooling yourself with thoughts like, once I reach that, I'll definitely be happy. Once I get there, then I'll be happy. But that there is still so far away. Let me give you an example from one of my old videos. I once asked this question to measure happiness. If you were representing your country in an international competition, which one would you rather be? A C, second place, or BN, third place? People who choose third place are actually happy and more satisfied than those who choose second place. Why? Because when someone wins third place, they had to beat the person in fourth place, right? And because they won, they got to stand on the podium. Winning feels like such a relief, yeah? And since they won, they look downward. They compare themselves to the one who came in fourth. Meanwhile, the one in second place lost to the champion lost in the final. So, they stand on the podium feeling frustrated and disappointed. They compare themselves to the one who got first place. So, if you're too focused on the destination or the goal, you always end up comparing yourself to people who are ahead of you or above you. And instead of feeling motivated, over time you'll start to doubt yourself, thinking you're falling behind, and you'll keep trying to catch up. When your mindset stays like that, every step will feel heavier. Okay, if any of you are experiencing the same thing I just talked about, I've got a few solutions that might help you out. If you're the type of person who's ready but still scared to take the first step, like John, you can try changing the narrative in your head. People who procrastinate are usually labeled as lazy, but actually, those two things are different. Procrastination usually comes from wanting to avoid negative feelings like pain, failure, rejection, criticism, and so on. And that avoidance often shows up as a narrative in our minds. So, if we try to change that narrative into something more positive, little by little, we'll be able to start taking action. So when the thought, I don't think I can do this, pops up in your head, you should immediately change it to, how can I make this work? You also need to switch from, I have to do this, I have to do that, to I choose to do this. Even though the meaning is kind of the same, the words we choose make us feel like we have control over ourselves, and that makes us feel stronger. Also, try changing why into what. Instead of thinking, why am I not feeling motivated? Switch it to, what can I do to feel more motivated? Especially if you follow it up with action right away. That way, you won't have time to overthink. And if you're someone who can't seem to finish what you've started, the solution is, you have to find the meaning behind what you're doing. Why? Well, how can we stay committed if we don't even know why we need to be committed, right? Especially when things get stressful or hard in the middle of the process, or when something more fun and exciting suddenly comes along. It gets even harder to stay committed. So, once we figure out why we need to commit, we can break out of the habit of not finishing what we start. So for those of you going through this, you can start by reflecting on what you're doing, why it matters, and why you should be serious and stay committed, so you can look further ahead. And the next time you feel stuck again, you can repeat that reflection. Then, for those of you who are too focused on goals, the solution is, you need to create a solid, well-planned schedule and stick to it with discipline. Your schedule should definitely include rest time. Use that break wisely, maybe refresh with your family, or look for new, fun experiences to recharge yourself. And if you still feel like you're falling behind, or keep comparing yourself to people ahead of you or above you, that's okay. But try changing the narrative in your head too. What can I learn from this person? Even though it seems different, everything we've talked about today actually comes from the same root. It all starts with self-doubt. So once you know where it's coming from, I hope you can start learning how to manage that doubt and become more confident than your past self. Alright, that's it for today's talk. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Think beyond being a Binarian.